What if there had been a peaceful, thriving and independent Palestine alongside Israel, not as rival nations, but as neighbours, collaborators and companions in history? What if the soil of Jerusalem, Jaffa, Gaza and Haifa had not been soaked in grief, but bloomed with the fruits of shared innovation, learning and healing? What if the Holy Land, so often a battleground for identity, had become a canvas of cooperation and unity? This is not a fairy tale. This is the Palestine that could have been, a place built not on war, but on wisdom, not on division, but on dignity. Let us journey into an alternate timeline, one where tragedy was not destiny, and history took a different turn. As the Ottoman Empire unravelled at the end of World War I, Palestine was placed under British control through the League of Nations mandate. In our timeline, this marked the beginning of mounting tensions. But in this alternate reality, the British mandate took a revolutionary course. Instead of choosing favouritism, the British High Commissioner, under pressure from more progressive voices in London, charted a course of equal representation. The Balfour Declaration was replaced by the Palestinian Unity Charter of 1918, a commitment to build a shared homeland for Jews, Arabs and others under international protection and guidance. Early Jewish and Arab leaders met regularly in Jerusalem's Mandate Assembly Hall, forming the Palestine National Dialogue Council, where all ethnic and religious groups had elected representation. The council's motto, two peoples, one future, became a national symbol. Britain, rather than playing the divide and rule game, invested heavily in binational infrastructure, education and public services. Schools taught both Hebrew and Arabic. Civic ceremonies included readings from the Torah, Quran and New Testament. Young students memorized poems by Mahmoud Darwish and Chaim Nachman Bialik alike, absorbing a dual heritage of pride and struggle. By the mid-1920s, the Jewish National Fund and Palestinian agricultural cooperatives co-developed the Green Crescent Programme, an initiative to irrigate and cultivate barren lands using Jewish kibbutz models and Arab terraced farming techniques. Jews fleeing European persecution found refuge in Palestine, but under agreements forged through the Dialogue Council. The new immigrants were housed in partnership with local Arab communities, who received investment for infrastructure in return. Towns like Kiryat al-Salam and Beit al-Sharq became shining examples of integrated urban development. By 1939, while Europe was edging toward catastrophe, the Palestinian model was being studied worldwide. Time magazine called it the most daring social experiment of the century. The League of Nations passed a resolution recognizing Palestine as a model mandate, citing its peaceful integration of multiple ethnicities and religions. A tri-faith university, the University of Abraham, opened in Hebron. You are teaching science, philosophy and theology in 3 languages. Its motto, knowledge is our shared homeland. When World War II erupted, Palestinians, Jews and Arabs alike, volunteered in British regiments to fight Nazism. They served in joint battalions, wore the Star and Crescent badge, and returned home with hardened spirits and deeper mutual respect. In 1945, when the war ended and the horrors of the Holocaust emerged, the Jewish survivors who had nowhere else to go found refuge in Palestine, welcomed as kin. Entire neighbourhoods in Nazareth and Saft were rebuilt to house displaced persons. Synagogues and mosques were erected side by side, and memorial gardens for Holocaust victims stood beside monuments for fallen Arab freedom fighters. As the British prepared to leave in 1948, there was no declaration of war. Instead, there was a constitutional convention held in Jericho. Delegates from every town instructed to obey. Arab, Jewish, Druze, Christian, Circassian, gathered to draft the founding charter of a new nation, the United Federation of Palestine-Israel. The Constitution enshrined the right to land, language, religion, and self-governance for all. It created 2 capital cities, Jerusalem and Ramallah, Tel Aviv, and 5 autonomous cantons with decentralized governments. Power rotated among elected leaders, with presidential tickets required to include 1 Jewish and 1 Arab running mate. The first prime president, Levi Abu Khatib, a half-Jewish, half-Arab teacher and poet who quoted Rumi and Einstein in his inauguration speech. There was no Nakba. There were no refugee camps. There was no massive wave of displacement, no ethnic cleansing, no raised villages. Instead, communities preserved their identities while sharing a federal structure. Gaza became a self-ruled economic zone, known for its textile cooperatives and pearl export. Haifa became the Silicon Valley of the Mediterranean. Bethlehem became a model for interfaith tourism. And Jaffa, the jewel of the coast, hosted the World Urban Harmony Expo in 1953. In the 1960s, the Federation signed a series of treaties with its neighbours: the Cairo Accord with Egypt, the Amman Convention with Jordan, and the Beirut Compact with Lebanon. The Sinai Peninsula became a joint nature preserve. Palestinian-Israeli engineers co-developed solar energy systems that powered thousands of rural towns. The city of Nablus became the headquarters of the Middle Eastern Environmental Alliance, combating desertification across the region. Instead of wars in 1956 or 1967, there were economic summits, cultural festivals, and diplomatic milestones. The Six-Day War never happened. The Yom Kippur War never happened. The Intifadas never happened. With prosperity came complexity, but also maturity. The Federation faced protests, budget disagreements, and cultural debates. Radical voices occasionally clashed, but the media remained free. The judiciary remained fair, and peace held. By the 1980s, the Federation had become a global symbol of successful multicultural democracy. Its GDP rivaled Switzerland. Its literacy rate reached 98%. Women led ministries. Refugees from other parts of the Middle East sought asylum within its borders. The cities flourished. Gaza City became a leading centre for marine research and literature. Its poets, like fictional Nobel laureate Yara El-Karmi, blended Hebrew and Arabic into a new genre called bilingual soul verse. Tel Aviv, known for its jazz cafes and startup hubs, became twinned with Tokyo. Jerusalem became home to the International Center for Peace Ethics, drawing global leaders each year to discuss conflict resolution and spiritual diplomacy. In one famous moment in 1993, an American president, a South African bishop, an Iranian philosopher, and a Burmese monk all shared a panel, moderated by a Palestinian rabbi. Children of the Federation grew up bilingual, multicultural, and technologically advanced. They studied Jewish history, Islamic civilization, and Western philosophy in the same curriculum. They took field trips to each other's holy sites. School debates included questions like, what does justice look like in a shared land? They played soccer on mixed teams. They built robots that spoke in Hebrew and Arabic. Component placement. By the 2000s, the Federation had become a spacefaring nation. A joint Palestinian-Israeli space program, Panish Orion Masar, sent satellites into orbit and launched scientific missions to the moon. The Jewish scientist Rachel Al-Tamimi and Arab physicist Hani Goldstein co-authored a revolutionary paper on dark matter. Their Nobel acceptance speech ended with the words, "We come from a land once broken by myth, now united by truth." The global image of the Middle East transformed. Instead of bombs and boycotts, it became a region of innovation and coexistence. The Federation led in clean energy, medical research, and peace building. Its Peace Corps equivalent, the Companions of Salam, was dispatched to war-torn countries to assist in rebuilding. Its TV dramas explored moral ambiguity, love across cultures, and philosophical dialogue. Its greatest export, hope. But not everything was perfect. Political factions emerged, including separatists who wanted to dissolve the Federation and create ethnic nation-states. Economic inequality grew between rural cantons and urban centres. Cultural tensions resurfaced when waves of immigrants from Africa and Asia arrived. Yet institutions held firm. The national motto, "Justice is the soil of peace," reminded citizens that freedom was not a gift, but a practice. Annual Unity Days included interfaith meals and community-led storytelling festivals where people shared how their grandparents avoided war by choosing compassion. In 2023, the Federation celebrated 75 years of unity. A documentary titled The Palestine That Became won international acclaim. It included fictional footage of joint funerals, weddings, peace marches, and art exhibits. The highlight, a mother from Gaza and a father from Tel Aviv watching their daughter graduate from the University of Haifa Ramallah with honours in peace engineering. As we return to our real world, one filled with tragedy, division, walls, blockades, checkpoints, trauma, and tears, we must ask, why didn't this happen? Why did we accept war as inevitable? What could have been different if in just a few moments A few policies, a few speeches, a few choices, we had turned toward one another instead of away. This alternate Palestine is not a fantasy. It is a mirror that shows us what we've lost and what we still might find. For even now, in every protest for dignity, in every prayer for justice, in every whisper of peace, the dream of that shared homeland flickers. The future remains unwritten. Will we cling to pain, or will we dare to hope again? Because history, as always, waits for the courage to be changed.